Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. More powerful than your circumstances, your background, or even your physical strength. Muniba Mazari's story is a living example of this truth. After the car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down, everything around her seemed to collapse. Her dreams of becoming an artist, a mother, and a changemaker all felt like they had shattered in a single moment. But what never broke was her mind. And that made all the difference. When life hits hard, the first battle we face isn't on the outside, it's inside in our own thought. Muniba chose to shape her inner world even when her outer world looked hopeless. While doctors gave her a long list of things she could never do again, she began creating a list in her mind of what she still could do and what she would do. That is the power of belief. That is the power of the human mind when it refuses to surrender. She taught herself to paint again, using her arms and all the strength she had left. She became a voice for the voiceless, not because she had no struggles, but because she made a decision that her mind would lead her, not her limitations. The mind can be your prison, or it can be your wings. For Muniba, it became her wings. When you believe in your mind, truly believe, you unlock a force within you that can shape everything. Your actions, your energy, your direction. Just like Muniba, you don't need perfect conditions. You need a mindset that refuses to break. Once you win the battle in your mind, life starts to follow your lead. That's where transformation begins. That's where strength is born. Pain is often seen as the end, the moment everything falls apart. But Muniba Mazari's journey shows us something deeper. Pain is not the end. It's the beginning of something extraordinary. After the accident, she spent months in a hospital bed, unable to move, uncertain about her future. The pain wasn't just physical, it was emotional, mental, and spiritual. She could have given up. She could have let the pain consume her. But instead, she made a different choice. She allowed pain to transform her. Pain became her teacher. It taught her patience, it taught her gratitude, and most importantly, it taught her purpose. In her most vulnerable state, she discovered what truly mattered. She began to see life not for what she had lost, but for what she still had to give. That shift didn't happen overnight. It started with small thoughts, tiny sparks of belief in her mind that maybe, just maybe, she could still make a difference. And from that belief, purpose was born. She started painting again. She started sharing her story. She became a voice for those who felt voiceless. The very pain that tried to silence her became the message that moved millions. That is what happens when you believe in your mind. When you trust that pain doesn't come to destroy you, but to awaken something powerful inside you. So the next time you're faced with pain, remember Muniba. Don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask instead, what can I become because of this? The pain may feel like an ending, but in truth, it might just be the beginning of your greatest chapter. Self-belief is where everything begins. It's not about waiting for the world to recognize your value. It's about knowing it in your heart and in your mind, even when no one else does. Muniba Mazari's life is a powerful reflection of this. After losing the ability to walk, she could have faded into the background, accepting what others said she could or couldn't do. But she didn't. Instead, she chose to believe in herself when it made no sense to. She believed in her voice before anyone heard it. She believed in her dreams before anyone saw them. That kind of belief doesn't come from outside validation. It comes from a decision deep within that you are more than your limitations. Muniba didn't wait for permission. She gave herself permission to rise, to speak, to lead. And that's what real belief looks like. It's quiet at first. It's the voice in your mind that says, I can still create something beautiful. It's the whisper that says that this is not the end of me. And when that belief becomes stronger than your fear, stronger than your doubt, you start to move differently. You speak with confidence. You act with courage. You inspire others. Not because you have it all figured out, but because you believe you will find a way. That belief becomes contagious. Muniba showed the world that self-belief is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again, even when it's hard. And when you begin to truly believe in your mind, the world starts to reflect that back to you. Opportunities appear. People listen. Doors open. But none of it starts without you first believing in you. The way you see your life shapes the life you live. That's the power of perspective. And Muniba Mazari is a perfect example of how changing your thoughts can change your entire world. After her accident, she faced the kind of challenges that could easily break someone. But instead of asking, "Oh, why did this happen to me?" she started asking, "What can I do with what I have?" How that single shift in perspective changed everything. It's easy to focus on what's missing, what's broken, or what went wrong. But Muniba chose to focus on what was still possible. She could no longer walk, but she could still feel. She could still speak. She could still create. And by focusing on those things, she opened doors that most people never even tried to walk through. She didn't ignore her pain or pretend everything was fine. She simply chose to see her life through a different lens. That's the incredible thing about the human mind. Two people can face the same situation and have completely different experiences, simply based on how they view it. One sees failure, the other sees a lesson. One sees an end, the other sees a new beginning. Perspective doesn't erase the challenge, but it gives you power over how you respond. Muniba's life proves that you don't need perfect conditions to live a meaningful life. You need a mindset that can turn problems into purpose. Once you shift your thoughts, you shift your path. When your perspective changes, so does your energy, your decisions, your direction. The world didn't change for Muniba. She changed the way she looked at the world. And that changed everything. We often grow up with narrow definitions of beauty and strength. Ideas shaped by what we see in the media or hear from society. But Muniba Mazari shattered those ideas with grace, courage, and an unshakable belief in herself. After her accident, she was told she didn't fit the mold anymore. A woman in a wheelchair wasn't considered beautiful. She was told she couldn't become a mother, couldn't be a model, couldn't represent her country. But Muniba resigned every one of those outcomes with her actions. She became Pakistan's first wheelchair-using model. She became a national ambassador for UN Women. Ambassador for UN Women. She adopted a son and became a mother through love, not biology. And every step of the way, she challenged the world's definitions of strength and beauty, not by trying to fit in, but by standing out. She showed us that strength isn't about muscles, and beauty isn't about walking a runway. Strength is choosing to rise when you have every reason to give up. Beauty is owning your truth and wearing your scars with pride. None of this would have been possible if she had let the world's standards define her. Instead, she let her mind define her worth. And that's the message. What you believe about yourself is more powerful than what anyone else believes about you. If your mind tells you that you are enough, that you are capable, that you are worthy, then you become unstoppable. Muniba didn't just break barriers, she built new definitions for others to follow. And it all started in her mind, with the belief that her story, her voice, her existence was beautiful just as it was. That's the kind of belief that changes not just a life, but generations. Your story has the power to inspire millions, but that power begins with a choice in your mind. A choice to believe that your voice matters, that your pain has purpose, and that your journey, no matter how broken it feels, holds value. Muniba Mazari made that choice. She could have hidden her story, stayed silent, and lived quietly with her pain. But instead, she chose to share it with the world. And in doing so, she became a symbol of strength, resilience, and hope for people everywhere. But here's the truth. Before she ever inspired others, she had to inspire herself. She had to believe deep down that her life still had meaning, even if it looked nothing like she once imagined. She had to find the courage to tell her story honestly, to sit in front of audiences and cameras and speak from a place of vulnerability. That courage didn't come from applause or fame. It came from within, from a mind that chose belief over fear. When you believe in your mind, you unlock something far greater than success. You unlock impact. Your story, your truth, your voice becomes a mirror for others who are searching for hope. Just like Muniba, you don't need to be perfect. Now, you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to believe that what you've been through has meaning, and that someone somewhere needs to hear it. The mind is where every movement starts. Every word that changes lives, every action that sparks change begins with a single thought: I matter. Muniba believed it. And because of that belief, her story traveled across borders and touched countless hearts. And yours can too, if you just believe.